Complete Aviation Solutions, Deep Dive number 88.
And our mission, as always, is pretty clear.
Yep, we take that stack of info you, our listener, send over articles, data, insights.
And we try to pull out the really important stuff, the nuggets of knowledge about aviation.
We're here to kind of unpack it all together.
And today, you've given us a really interesting mix. We're going to look at some key strategic moves.
Right, things happening across the aviation world, like how airlines are picking their future planes.
Those next-gen aircraft decisions, yeah. And then there's this high-stakes game around airport access.
Especially in those crowded markets. We'll look at that.
And also new developments in air cargo, some new routes popping up.
Yeah, it's good selection. We've got specific plane types.
Yeah.
Airport slot swaps, new cargo connections.
It really shows how the industry is constantly, shifting and adapting.
Okay, let's dive in. Let's unpack this information you've shared. So, first stop, we're heading over to Papua New Guinea. Looking at their national carrier, what's really standing out from the info you sent is their commitment to a specific type of aircraft.
That's right. We see a firm order here for 2 more A220-100s.
Okay, 2 more.
And this isn't like out of the blue. The data shows this order comes after an earlier one back in 2023.
Right. For how many then?
That was for 6 of the same type, the A220-100. So they're doubling down, really increasing their bet on the A220 family.
And it looks like it's not just outright purchases either. The sources mentioned leases too.
Exactly. They've also got lease agreements lined up for 3 of the bigger version, the A220-300s.
The NAGRI 300s, okay.
And those are coming from a U.S.-based lessor. So yeah, they're using different avenues, buying and leasing, to bring these jets in.
That makes sense. Diversify the approach.
And the timing mentioned in the material is pretty neat.
How so?
Well, this announcement about the new order, it happened almost exactly when the very first A220 for this airline started its final assembly. Yeah, up at the plant in Canada. So it really shows this isn't just planning, it's happening now. Metal is being put together.
That really brings it home. So, okay, why the A220? Why this big investment? The airline's CEO is quoted.
Yes, and he's very clear about it. He calls the A220 the future backbone of their domestic and regional fleet.
The backbone. That's a strong word.
Yeah.
Tells you how central it is to their strategy.
Absolutely. And he links it directly to supporting economic development in Papua New Guinea. Says they're adding more because forecasts show strong growth.
That clicks, especially considering the geography there.
Right.
Reliable air links are crucial for connecting islands, remote areas.
For trade, for development, yeah.
Exactly. And it sounds like they're also thinking about the passenger side.
Definitely. The goal mentioned is bringing a whole new level of efficiency and comfort.
Efficiency, okay. That's always a big driver. The sources call the A220 the most efficient aircraft in its size category.
Right. And that's huge for operating costs, especially fuel burn, which is, always a major factor.
No kidding. So let's get into those specs a bit from the data. What makes it tick?
Well, it's purpose-built for that smaller single-aisle market. Seats about 100 to 160 passengers, depends on the layout, of course.
Standard range for that size.
Actually, pretty impressive range for its class. It can fly up to 3,600 nautical miles nonstop.
3,600. Wow. That's roughly, 6,700 kilometers?
That's it. So that opens up a lot of potential routes. Maybe routes that weren't quite right for older jets, or even bigger planes that need more runway or just aren't filled easily.
And the efficiency piece, you mentioned fuel burn.
Yeah, the sources highlight the latest gen engines. They deliver a 25% reduction in fuel consumption and CO2 emissions per seat.
Per seat, okay. Compared to older planes.
Compared to previous generation aircraft, yes. That's a massive saving over the aircraft's life.
Huge. And that plays into the whole sustainability angle too, I imagine.
For sure. The data notes it can already run on up to 50% sustainable aviation fuel SAF.
Okay, 50% now.
And the manufacturer is aiming for 100% SANSAC capability by 2030. So it aligns with where the industry needs to go.
Seems like a solid choice then for growth and modernization.
Yeah.
Does the info say much about how the A220 is doing globally?
It does. It mentions it's flying with 24 operators around the world.
24 airlines.
Yeah, covering over 1,600 routes, hitting more than 470 destinations. It really confirms its leading spot in that smaller single-aisle market.
And the order book looks healthy.
Very. As of late April 2025, the manufacturer had racked up over 900 orders from more than 30 customers, and over 410 already delivered.
Okay, that's strong validation from the market. Lots of airlines putting their confidence in it.
Definitely suggests operators are happy with its performance and, the economics of flying it.
So we've got an airline using modern tech to boost its regional network. But expansion isn't always just buying new planes, right? Sometimes it's about access.
Especially in busy, congested markets.
Which brings us to our next point.
Yeah.
A major partnership shaping up in the U.S. market, specifically New York.
Right. This involves two pretty significant U.S. carriers. They've teamed up under a new name. What is it? Blue Sky.
Blue Sky. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the key pieces of this deal, especially around the airports? That's always critical in New York.
Yeah, the standout detail is about JFK. One carrier is giving the other access to slots there.
Access at JFK. That's gold dust. How much access?
It's for up to 7 daily round-trip flights, and it's specifically tied to operating out of Terminal 6.
Terminal 6, okay.
Yep.
And when does this kick in?
The sources say 2027 at the earliest, so still a little way off.
But securing that now is huge. 7 daily round trips is a serious presence. And it's not just JFK, right? There's something about Newark, too.
Correct. It's not a one-way street.
Yeah.
They're also exchanging 8 flight timing slots, basically at Newark, EWR.
And exchange at Newark.
Right.
So maybe optimizing schedules there for both of them.
Seems likely. Trying to make things work better across the whole New York metro area.
And beyond the airport mechanics, what about for passengers? Does the deal offer them anything?
Yes, the data mentions consumer benefits. They'll be able to sell seats on each other's websites.
Oh, code sharing or something similar.
And offer frequent flyer perks across both airlines. So, more options, maybe better loyalty hooks for travelers.
Okay, now let's dig into the why. What's the strategy behind this Blue Sky alliance, according to the sources?
Well, for one of the airlines involved, the info says they've long sought a major partner
Why is that?
to compete more effectively against the big 3 U.S. carriers, the giants.
Read sense. Hard to fight them alone.
Huh?
Did they have a previous partnership that ended?
They did, yeah. So this looks like a new attempt to find that competitive edge through an alliance.
Okay, so that's one side. What about the other carrier? Why are they doing this?
Their CEO is quoted. They wanted to get back into JFK. Apparently, they pulled out of JFK just before the winter 2022-23 season.
Right, I remember that. So they wanted back in.
Yes, but, and this is key, the CEO explicitly said they wanted to return without having to buy a whole other airline.
Avoiding a massive merger or acquisition.
Exactly. Which is, incredibly complex, expensive, tons of regulatory hurdles. This partnership gives them a way back into JFK, gets them those crucial slots, but it's a much cleaner, less drastic move.
A strategic shortcut, almost.
Yeah.
Smart. Does the market data back this up? How do they stack up at JFK and Newark now?
Yeah, the context is interesting. At JFK, one of the partners is already a big fish, second largest carrier there, actually, over
Wow.
22% capacity.
Behind the leader who has nearly 30%.
Okay. But then you flip over to Newark.
Yeah.
And the other partner completely dominates. They have over 64% of the capacity there. Huge share.
Wow, okay. And the first partner, their share at Newark?
Much smaller. Just over 4%. So you can see how the slot swap at Newark and the access at JFK kind of lets each airline play to its strengths or maybe shore up a weakness in the other's territory.
Leveraging each other's positions in different parts of the New York market? Makes sense.
But the sources are careful to note they'll still run their own shows. Both companies keep managing and pricing their own networks independently. Adding routes, changing frequencies, running promotions, that's all still separate.
So it's targeted cooperation, not a full merger of operations.
Precisely. Slot access, frequent flyer stuff, selling seat-specific areas. And the data also mentions, like you'd expect, the whole thing is subject to regulatory review.
Standard procedure for these kinds of deals.
Though some bits might start rolling out as soon as this autumn, potentially.
Fascinating stuff. How airlines use partnerships like puzzle pieces to navigate those really tough markets. Okay, we've done sleets, we've done passenger network access. Let's switch gears completely.
Right, over to the cargo side of things.
Exactly. Global air cargo. What have we got?
We've got details in the sources about a brand new service launched by a cargo airline based in Kenya.
A Kenyan cargo operator. Okay. What's the route?
They've started flying between Hong Kong and Brisbane, Australia.
Hong Kong to Brisbane.
Yeah.
That's a long haul for freight.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Is it just for their own cargo?
Actually, no. The info indicates they're running this service on behalf of a startup, an Australian company called AUS Air Cargo.
Ah, okay. A partnership there, too, of sorts. What kind of plane are they using?
The first flight used a Boeing 767-300ER, a converted freighter, the BDSF version.
The 767 freighter, classic workhorse. And this just started.
Very recently. That first round trip happened just May 27th and 28th, 2025. So yeah, brand new.
Fresh off the tarmac. What's the Kenyan airline saying about it?
Their CEO expressed excitement, naturally, talked about expanding operations, offering enhanced cargo capacity and flexibility. It's a big move for them, adding a route like that.
Tell us more about this Kenyan airline. Are they a major player?
They're described as an established cargo carrier. Besides that 767, they also fly 737-400 freighters and 767-200 freighters.
Okay, a mixed fleet.
Their regular network, according to the sources, hits about 13 airports across Africa, plus big hubs like Dubai World Central and Hong Kong, obviously.
So this Brisbane flight is basically an extension, tacking onto their existing Hong Kong service to reach a whole new continent.
Looks that way, leveraging that Hong Kong stop.
And what about the startup, AUS Air Cargo? Based in Perth, you said.
Yep, based in Perth.
Yeah.
And there's a direct link mentioned in the data. The person heading it up is also the Kenyan Airlines commercial director for the UAE.
Oh, okay. So a very close relationship there. That probably smoothed the way for the deal.
Almost certainly.
What's the goal for AUS Air Cargo with this specific route? Why Hong Kong, Brisbane?
Their stated aim is moving high-value perishable products quickly into North Asia.
Ah, perishables. Things like fresh produce, seafood.
Exactly. Stuff from that Brisbane region known for agriculture. It's time-sensitive cargo that needs speed, and air freight is perfect for that niche. This route seems laser-focused on that specific market.
Makes sense. Speed is king for high-value perishables. Any mention of future plans for the startup in Australia?
Yes, the plan is apparently for AUS Air Cargo to start flights from other big Aussie airports too, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth,
Using their own planes.
using wet-leased aircraft from the Kenyan airline.
Wet leased. Okay, so the Kenyan airline provides the plan, the crew, maintenance, insurance, the whole package deal.
Right. It lets the startup scale up fast without the massive initial investment in their own fleet and operations. They can focus on the cargo sales and logistics side.
Got it. Smart way for a startup to get going. Now, there was something flagged in the source material, a detail about their operating status.
Yeah, a bit of a discrepancy noted. One report cited in the info suggested AUS Air Cargo holds an Australian Air Operator Certificate, an AOC.
That's a license to fly commercially, right?
Exactly. But the official records from SCASA, the Civil Aviation Safety Authority in Australia, apparently don't confirm they have one.
That is interesting. So they're operating flights via the wet lease,
Yeah.
but their own certification status might be unclear based on this info.
It seems there's a question mark there, yeah. Something worth noting from the data provided.
Definitely. Okay, so we've covered quite a spectrum today.
We really have. From Papua New Guinea
Betting big on modern, efficient, regional jets.
to major U.S. airlines playing chess with airport slots in New York.
And then this new cargo link opening up between Asia and Australia for specific goods.
Diverse moves, but all happening in that same interconnected aviation world.
And for you, our listener, why does tracking all this matter? Well, because none of it happens in a vacuum, right?
Absolutely not. These decisions ripple outwards.
An airline picking the A220 influences manufacturing, fuel efficiency trends globally. Trading slots changes where you can fly, who you fly with, maybe even the price.
And that new cargo route, that affects how quickly certain products get to market, impacting supply chains and potentially costs for things you might buy or businesses you follow.
Understanding these moves gives you a clearer picture of where the industry is heading, what its priorities are, efficiency, market access, finding those profitable niches.
You see the strategies playing out.
It really paints a picture of constant evolution, doesn't it? Always calculating, always adapting. So maybe here's a final thought to chew on.
Go on.
How might these different strategies, buying efficient planes, trading airport access, launching niche cargo routes, how might they actually influence each other down the line?
Interesting question.
Could success with, say, an efficient A220 network in one region eventually open doors for new cargo opportunities? Or even affect who becomes an attractive partner for an alliance later on?
It's all connected, like you said. The ripples can definitely spread far and wide in this business.
Indeed they can. All right, that wraps up this deep dive. Thanks for sharing your sources and letting us explore them with you.